Welcome to Survivor Sunday, where we celebrate strength, resilience, and hope. Each week, we will invite breast cancer champions to share their powerful journeys, allowing them to heal out loud so others won't have to suffer in silence. Every one of these stories is a testament to courage, faith, and the power of community. And we are here to amplify those voices. Now, today's guest is here to inspire, uplift, and embody the strength that comes from overcoming the toughest battles. As Psalm 107 says, let the redeemed of the Lord tell their story, so you won't want to miss this one. Now let's get ready to be empowered, because this is Survivor Sunday, where hope takes center stage. Hey family, welcome to the Survivor Sunday podcast, where hope takes center stage. Now I have here with us today a breast cancer champion. And I want to know, tell us your name and a little bit about yourself.
So my name's Carmen McCauley, and I am a mom of three amazing kids. I work in a nonprofit in Georgia. We feed families and children, and it's a really rewarding career. I've done it for a few years.
That's awesome. What's the name of the organization in which you work with?
It is called Meals by Grace. It's in Cumming, Georgia.
Meals by Grace. I love it. And I actually had an opportunity to attend and be on platform to tell a little bit about my story at you guys' big fundraiser. What was it? The gala. So what was the name of it again?
It was it was a Feed the Need gala. We do it every year, and it's a fundraiser that we have that we bring all of our donors together, and new donors, old donors, just whoever is interested in learning about us. We bring them all together. We have a great evening, a great fun time together, and raise funds to help our families throughout the next year.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So it's obvious working with an organization like that, you have a heart to give back and to serve others. But you're here because you have an amazing story. And I want to know, think back to when you first got that diagnosis with breast cancer. What was your initial reaction and some of the emotions that you experienced when you heard that diagnosis for the first time?
So my first reaction, honestly, was just being stunned. I was 47 years old, just turned 47. And though breast cancer had been in my family, it was later in life. And so in the back of my head, I think I always knew it was a possibility, but I just didn't know I would face it at such a young age. So thankfully, I worked at a local hospital and was able to have everything done there. And the support that I had there was amazing. So that I believe that really helped me work through all of the emotions and the stress and just all of the feelings that you have when you first face that diagnosis, especially the unknown of the future, what's going to happen, what's next. They were really great to walk me through every single step.
That's awesome. And you said something that reminded me that of the time when I first met you, and it was at the hospital.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that hospital experience and how it helped you in your breast cancer journey.
Well, I was diagnosed right at the beginning of COVID. So that was a challenge because at that point, hospitals were pretty well closed to visitors. So my work family actually became my family during that time. I knew that when I went through the processes, I wouldn't have my family with me to walk through those different stages. So they immediately surrounded me with support and love and information and just walked with me through every single step of the way. So I was very fortunate that I worked there. I was able to receive visitors. Of course, they were all my work friends, which was fine. But I think it built something within our team also to have, for them to go through that with me.
That's amazing. So I hear from that story, love, support, connection, that genuine social connection, and all those things that help you empower you rather to fight through those instances and those days when it became difficult. And so speaking on that, what was the most, challenging part of the treatment process and recovering and, battling breast cancer?
For me, the hardest part was after the diagnosis, after the surgery. It was the recovery process, and it was getting used to the new norm and deciding, did I make good decisions? I made extreme decisions. I made those for my children because I wanted to be around for a long time, and that was just something personal. And my physician, that's one of his lines. He says, breast cancer, it's personal. And it really is to every woman. They have to make different choices based on where they are in life, where they, see themselves going. So I made a pretty radical decision at that point in time. So it was really after the fact that they were hard days. And even still now, years later, 4 years later, there are still hard days with just the new me, really, is what it is, the new me.
I get it. Now, you were talking about those hard days, and breast cancer survivor or not, we all have difficult times. We all have hard days, and some days are more difficult than others. And so I'm curious, like the most difficult day. If you could think back through the entire recovery process, can you think back to the most difficult day and describe, just how overwhelming it felt during that most difficult day? And if there was anything particular on that day that gave you hope, strength, or courage that helped you push through.
So I think the most difficult day, going back to looking at the new person that I was actually the very first day that I saw the results of what I had done, the results of the surgery. It was in between a couple of other surgeries that I had. And that was the hardest for me emotionally, just seeing it for the first time and wondering, how is this going to change my personality? Will it change who I am? Really, it was just the support of the people that were in my circle. It was having those people check in on me and, just keep me going, push me forward, and it's going to be okay. And look at this miracle. Look, you're so blessed. And just those things that I know that I had forgotten, because when you're in that situation, it shakes your foundation. So I'm really glad that I had the support of my friends that were able to help me remember, hey, listen, this is just a part of your story. So you have this amazing foundation. Let's get back on that. And they just kept pushing me forward along the way. So that was really amazing, and what helped me through the hardest of days, I think.
That's good. That's good to hear. And two words that stick out to me particularly when you were speaking were support and foundation. And I believe that's important in anyone's lives. From a construction perspective, the foundation is the most important. And in our lives, the foundation that we build or others help us build really support us throughout our days. And so with that in mind, what were some of the specific support systems that helped you get through your journey? And, how much of an impact did it really have on the old you and, as you said, the new you?
Do you know, one of the best stories that I have from that time, it was actually just after diagnosis, and I was really concerned about losing my hair, the potential of losing my hair. And one of our wonderful PAs in our office, we happened to be in the same building at Piedmont with the Beautiful You Boutique, and it was for breast cancer patients. And so she came over one day and walked me down to the boutique, and we looked at all of the possibilities, all of the things. And she just wanted to put my heart at ease, to say, that is not who you are, but there are things that you can do to make that transition a little easier if that is something that happens. So I love that story. I'm forever grateful for that moment of just extreme support and love that I was shown that day.
That's such a good point, because sometimes a kind word is the jolt or the galvanization that we need just to get over that next hump. And no matter if it's a mountain or just a speed bump, those right words of encouragement can help us, get through that obstacle. And as you talk about that, and as you describe that, for you, what advice would you give someone who's at that point to where, they may be thinking, I can't do this anymore. So what advice would you give to someone who may have just received a breast cancer diagnosis to show up in someone else's life, how the lady at the boutique, well,
Yeah.
beautiful boutique inspired you? Like, what word of advice would you give to someone?
Do everyone has a different experience and a different story. And what I've always said is you can find people in your circle who understand, but your story is your own. And you just have to walk each day individually. And the decisions that you make, you have to make them individually for you. So just don't do a lot of research because sometimes that can deter you from, doing the things that will make you more solid in what you know that you need to do. So just finding your circle of people and allowing them to help you and do a day at a time.
That's good. So if you're at the point where you have your circle and you're tuning out the white noise, because you said don't do any research, right? And when you have your circle, you're focusing on your journey, your battle, tuning out all the other things that could possibly happen or go wrong. And so with all of that, even in motion, what are some practical steps or strategies that people can utilize, whether it's physically, emotionally, or mentally? What are just some practical steps, like one step at a time?
Well, so you want to, thinking back to what I did, you want to find the joy in each day. You want to look at not so much where you are, but where you are going to be. Having a good foundation. If you have a spiritual foundation, stay connected. That's such a strong thing. Just stay connected with whatever your foundation is. Those are the things that I did. I just tried to look at where I was going to be. And I tried to think of the people down the road that would hear my story or that would need to hear my story. And although it wasn't great to go through, I knew that I needed to, because I knew that would become part of what I would be able to share with others later. So that made it a little bit less scary. Well, less scary. If that's even possible, it changed my focus a little bit. That there's probably someone down the road in my life that will need to hear my story, and that will help them to know that they will be okay and they can do it. So that's what I tried to focus on more.
There are two things that I have questions about off of that response and that statement. The first piece is you use the word spiritual, and then you work for a company or a nonprofit called Meals by Grace. So obviously there's some spiritual background within you, right? We have the same Father. So how much of a role did your faith play in your healing journey?
Oh, I have so many things I could say about that. At the very beginning, I think I shared this story with you. At the very beginning, between my initial testing and my diagnosis, there was a 7-day period where I did not know, but I did know. Really, in my heart, I knew. And I had a conversation with a friend, and I said, I feel like even though I don't know the results, I really do know this is going to be something that I have to walk through. But thankfully, I do have that background and that foundation that I know that none of this is a surprise. I believe in God. I know that nothing that happens to me is a surprise to Him, and I'm already equipped with what I need to get through it. There was another part of it after the diagnosis. There was some secondary things that showed up. And I remember every day at the office, I would play my Pandora on my phone because, we like music in the office. And so I would play Pandora. And the phone call came, and I walked out of the office into the stairwell and sat and listened to the next diagnosis. And I knew immediately what I had to do based on that because I'd already considered it. And so when I ended that phone call, my Pandora was still going, and there was a song that was playing. And some of the words in the verse of that song, I'll have to read it. It was, "And should this life bring suffering, Lord, I will remember what Calvary has brought for me, both now and forever." And so even to this day, that's the promise that I stand on. It's sustained me a lot during that time. So
That's amazing. Let God. Oh, I love it. I love it. And so the second question I had, you mentioned in sharing a story with others, the hope that it could possibly bring. So what role do you believe your story will, like you telling your story, will help with people who are listening to this, who may have lost loved ones to breast cancer, who are, friends or in the circle of someone dealing with breast cancer or is going through breast cancer themselves? Like how can you sharing your story help someone in either of those situations if they're feeling lost, scared, or unsure or alone? What impact do you think you can have by telling your story?
well, none of this is ever fair. That's, I think, a lot of times when people face this, that's the first thing that they say is, "Why me?" And then you have to look at it as a, "Why not me? What is this supposed to do or teach me?" And so I hope that by sharing my story, I can tell that person who might be afraid. Like I said, it's not a fun journey. You have to make really, really hard choices, but you can do it. We're all equipped with things that we need to make it through. And for those who are surrounding us, most days, all we need is just someone to listen to. "Hey, you know what? I'm really kind of nervous about this, or I'm really afraid of this, and I don't know what's coming, and I need someone to be my steady." So I would just encourage them to just stay focused. And it really is a personal journey, and people will try to tell you what to do and how to feel and what to think. But at the end of the day, it's your story. So if you're going through it, chances are someone's going to need to hear your story later too. So just stay focused on what's important, do what you have to do, and know that there is a reason behind it.
Amen to that. When you said that, I actually had, when I had just transitioned into ministry and I was working at the church, there was a time where I was having breakfast with one of our executive pastors, Pastor Randy Cochran, and he said that to me. He said, "Trey, sometimes it gets to the point to where you have to stop asking the question, why God? Like, why me, God? Why am I going through this? Why am I experiencing this?" And start asking the question, what are you trying to show me in this season? What is it that you want me to learn? And I think that's such it's such a perspective shift, because we can so easily get into the woe is me type of mentality, as opposed to I'm going to fight through this. And on the other side of this, I'm going to help someone else along the way. And as we talk about being on the other side, earlier you said, you were preparing your mind to the new norm, the new you. So now that you're on the other side of the entire process, you beat cancer, right? How has that experience shaped your current outlook on life and your relationships or even your personal mission?
It's really shown me more than anything that I can do just about anything I set my mind to. I really can. And, it gave me the courage to do some things that I had held off on, like finishing school. I went back and did all of that. And it just, just going through that, it gave me a new perspective on my value and what I had to bring to other people. So,
As you were saying that, you made me think of something. I was at Old Dominion University, and I was listening to someone present, Miss Brandy, Miss B is what they called her. Now I believe she's at Michigan State, I believe she's at Michigan State. But she used this phrase, and she said, "Mental strength is not the ability to stay out of the darkness, but it's the ability to sit present in the darkness, knowing that the light will shine again." And one of the themes of this entire podcast is, how do we heal out loud so that others don't have to suffer in silence? So those who are listening to this, who may feel alone, who may feel ashamed, who may feel embarrassed, who may feel hopeless, right? All of those things, all of those emotions that are tied up into, getting a adverse or dire diagnosis. When you think about your journey as being a survivor, what is some inspiration or some word of hope that you can give someone else who is navigating this journey in any capacity?
One of the things I think about when I go through these hard things is that I typically am not, I mean, I'm doing them for me, but I'm doing them for other people too. People watch how we react. People watch, where our faith is, especially if we are a believer. And it's really more for them than it is for us. And so while it's scary and it's unfair and it does change your entire life, chances are that there's more of a purpose in it than what we see immediately. So this is just part of our journey. And one thing that someone said to me, and I say it all the time, I was in a doctor's office and I was telling her my story, and she said, "You know what?" She said, "There is no testimony without the test." And that changed. I think about that all the time. That changed how I think about this entire thing. If I hadn't gone through that, that would not be part of my story. And that person or persons who need to see the strength and the courage that you can have, they might not see that if it weren't for me being willing to say, okay, I'm going to do this and I'm just going to make these decisions and I'm going to come out okay. And so there was a little bit, once she said that to me, there was a little bit extra strength that gave me and a little bit extra courage and it was a random person I didn't even know. I just met her and she said that. So it's just so interesting how you meet people and just at the right moment, they give you exactly what you need to keep going. And that was what she did for me that day.
That's amazing. That's amazing. As we close up this episode, as you were speaking, it was reminding me of something one of my great pastor friends said once. And what it was is, as you're sharing your story and we're trying to spread and inspire hope for people who are going through things, you're never truly ready to go through the test, right? But you always have to be prepared. They're ready and prepared are two completely different things. Being ready means you're never surprised, right? God isn't ever surprised, but we are definitely surprised. And if we're prayed up, if we have the circle, if we have the support group, if we have the mind state of, I'm prepared to give my testimony, and in preparing to give my testimony, I'm prepared for the test, right? And so the heart of everything that we've been discussing is to put people in that mind frame, to give them that perspective, to see life through that lens. But whatever comes, there's hope and there's victory on the other side of it if we prepare our hearts and our minds for the test. So, Carmen, I thank you so much for sharing your story. Thank you so much for being brave and being vulnerable enough to even share your story. Something that I say is being vulnerable is a greater showing of strength than the stoicism of silence. And so when we try to keep things to ourselves, that is a real strength. But when we share it, not only are we becoming more empowered, we're empowering those who hear our testimony as well. So thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for your testimony. And I know that it is going to inspire someone and give them the hope when they feel like they're at their wit's end and they can't take one more step. The strength is within you. So let that be a reminder to anyone going through any journey, any battle, or any obstacle. There's hope on the other side of it. And on Survivor Sunday, this is where hope takes center stage. So thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, even hit the alert icon so you can know when the next episode drops, and you can see who the next guest will be. And this Survivor Sunday. See you next time.